Glad you could join us for a 7:30 news bulletin with me, Tandy Wimzumara. Let's take a look at our top stories. Congolese hopes Pope Francis' visit shines light on brutal conflict in country's east. Water Aid scales up access to clean water in primary schools amid rampant rise in cholera cases. Public Appointments Committee Park of Parliament confirms Masauko Shankagala as the new Director of Public Prosecutions. And in international news, Cyclone Cheneso kills dozens and displaces tens of thousands in Madagascar. We do have the details of these stories and more. To stay with us. With Pope Francis finally able to visit the Democratic Republic of Congo this week, there are renewed hopes in the country that he might have an impact in helping reconcile a deeply divided people. The Holy Father is to visit Congo from Tuesday, January 31st to February 3rd before heading to South Sudan in an African tour that will end on February 5th. The trip was initially scheduled for July 2022, but the Pope's knee problems caused the Vatican to postpone the journey. Jacqueline Saidi reading a Catholic News Agency report.
On Wednesday, the Pope will celebrate a large mass at Ndolo Airport, the domestic terminal in the heart of the capital of Kinshasa. Then he is expected to meet with victims of the crisis in the eastern part of the country, where government and rebel insurgent forces backed by neighboring Rwanda have been fighting a bloody war for decades. The Deputy Secretary General of the Congolese Bishops' Conference, Father George Kalenga, who is also a member of the General Executive Secretariat of the Commission preparing for the Pope's visit, told NCR that the Holy Father will be visiting the country in turmoil, saying it is brightened by the demons of tribalism, nepotism, regionalism, and clientelism. He complained about political exclusion and the weakening of social ties that compromise national cohesion. Although the original plan for the papal visit involved Pope Francis traveling to the eastern part of the country to see the conflict zone, the current security situation has ruled out that possibility. On November 29th to 30th last year, M23, a rebel group operating in eastern Congo and reportedly backed by Rwanda, killed at least 131 people, according to the United Nations. Cardinal Fridolina Ambongo told Vatican Radio recently that the number of the killed people could have reached some 300.
Ministry of Health spokesperson Adrian Chigumbe has described as worrisome the death threat due to cholera outbreak in the month of January this year. Speaking with Luntha TV, Chigumbe said over 500 people have died due to the outbreak, hence there's a need to prevent the further spread of the outbreak by practicing hygiene and sanitation. We have more details in this report, followed by Hope Gambetta.
According to Chigumbe, cultural and religious beliefs are some of the setbacks in the fight against the spread of the outbreak. He also expressed his concern over the tenders of people not reporting to the nearest safe facility if they are showing any signs of the disease. He then appealed to the general public to report to the nearest safe facility if they have experienced any sign of cholera disease, and also to be cautious of the food they eat. Chigumbe also said if people are reporting early, it helps the medical personnel to assist them faster.
That there have been high numbers of people dying from cholera, because according to the WHO, the death rate from cholera is supposed to be less than 1%, meaning that we are not supposed to be dying from cholera. And now to find a lot of people dying like that, it is very, very worrisome. But we understand a lot of people are dying because they are seeking medication very, very late. By the time they come to facilities, it is a time when it's actually not easy even to get a vein for us to rehydrate this patient to our hydration solution.
Further, Chigumbe said cholera vaccine is just another way of combating the spread of the outbreak, and it is likely used in areas that have been heavily affected by the disease. But he emphasized on the practicing of hygiene as the best way to prevent the spread of the outbreak. Meanwhile, health expert George Chobe has challenged Malawians to promote the use of first aid treatment to cholera patients to avoid community deaths. He also asked the government to civically educate people to avoid believing in misinformation about the disease.
We need to promote first aid, that when someone is suffering from cholera, the relations must locally make oral rehydration solution, ORS, by mixing 6 teaspoons of sugar and half teaspoon of salt in 1 liter of water. The patient must be given that and even on the way to the facility. So first aid is very important to avoid community deaths.
As January 30th, 2023, Malawi registered 33,608 total cumulative confirmed cases, with 883 new and a total of 1,093 deaths, with 13 new deaths. For Luntha Television News, this is Hope Kambera.
In more related news, Malawi government has expressed optimism that the cholera pandemic will be quelled before it clocks a year in March. Presidential Task Force on Cholera Pandemic Co-Chairperson Dr. Wilfred Chalamira Nkoma expressed optimism when he addressed members of the press on Friday in Lilongwe during a session of Government Faces the Press. Nkoma said they have put in place strict measures that, if taken into account, Malawi will be cholera-free. Here is part of what Nkoma had to say.
Scientifically, it is clear. If we can follow the rules of making water safe, coming to the hospital to be treated in time, and our friends in the hospitals are treating these patients appropriately, we should be able to reduce the number of deaths. But to reduce the number of cases, we must interfere with the risk factors of transmission, which is the use of unsafe water. If we can intensify that and cover our populations with better water, safer water, and if we can make sure, like the President of Americas is saying, that we encourage the use of toilets in our communities, it will be possible to discharge ourselves of this contamination between food, water, and feces. It's clear. It's a simple matter. Cholera means somebody is eating something that has been mixed with somebody's feces.
Water Aid Malawi has challenged the government to come up with more sustainable ways of ensuring easy access to clean and safe water in the country's primary schools as a measure aimed at curbing the further spread of cholera outbreak. This follows revelations that public schools in Lilongwe get about 30,000 kwacha per month for water supply from Lilongwe Water Board, which is not enough, and it limits students' access to water as taps are closed most of the day as a measure to ensure that they last. Making her remarks early today during the symbolic presentation of tokens for water supply costing about 2.5 million kwacha for 4 primary schools in Lilongwe Urban, the organization is working with in water, sanitation and hygiene. Water Aid Country Director Mercy Masol emphasized the need for collaborative efforts amongst stakeholders to ensure easy access to safe and clean water in all primary schools in the country. Here's a report read by Jacqueline Saidi.
Due to the continuing increase of cholera cases and deaths in the cities of Luntha and Lilongwe, opening of primary and secondary schools in the 2 cities was delayed for 2 weeks in a bid to try to slow down the surge. According to Water Aid Country Director Mercy Maso, it is for this reason that they got motivated to help some of the primary schools in Lilongwe Urban that they work with, which are Kabwabwa, Mlodza, Mbuga and Chibala, with tokens for water supply so as to ensure that students have access to clean and safe water, which is an effective measure in as far as curbing the spread of cholera is concerned. Noting that there are a lot of other schools in the country which do not have access to clean and safe water, Maso has appealed for collaborative efforts amongst all stakeholders so that the country curbs the further spread of the outbreak.
The most important thing is for government to ring-fence resources for water supply in these schools. As I have mentioned, 30,000 kwacha for a school that is hosting 10,000 learners. That's grossly insufficient. You can always count how many days 30,000 kwacha will last. So from our calculation, we are actually saying that the schools should actually be provided at least 100,000 kwacha as a start. But most of these schools, especially those that have got high enrollment, they need more than 100,000 kwacha a month. So that's something that we really want to see Ministry of Education addressing as a long-term thing that needs to be addressed.
Representing the District Education Manager for Lilongwe Urban, Assistant School Health Nutrition Catherine Magalanga expressed gratitude to WaterAid, promising to ensure that there is enhanced hygiene practices in their schools.
I'm very happy as the office, because in the schools, cholera is now dangerous. So the WaterAid has given us these tokens. That means learners now will be in a good position of preventing this disease, because we have cholera nowadays and we have COVID in all schools in all the country. So we are very happy that they will have more in schools.
Cholera is an annual problem during Malawi's rainy months from November to March, where the number of deaths is around 100 a year. However, the country is currently experiencing the worst ever cholera outbreak, with over 31,000 confirmed cases and 1,000 confirmed deaths.
If you just tuned in to Luntha TV, now that you're watching news coming to you live from Bishop Navy Media Center. But before we proceed, let's take another look at the headlines. Congolese hopes Pope Francis' visit shines light on brutal conflict in the country's east. WaterAid scales up access to clean water in primary schools amid rampant rise in cholera cases. Public Appointments Committee Park of Parliament confirms Masauko Shankagala as the new Director of Public Prosecutions. And in international news, Cyclone Cheneso kills dozens and displaces tens of thousands in Madagascar. Proceeding with the news, the Public Appointments Committee Park of Parliament has confirmed Masauko Shankagala as the new Director of Public Prosecution (DPP) after being grilled on his eligibility. Chairperson for PAC, Joyce Jesulo, said 14 out of 16 members of the committee present voted yes for Shankagala, having been satisfied with his experience and how he worked at Legal Aid Bureau as Director General. According to Chetsulo, he has impressed them since they already know his track record. Having worked at Legal Aid Bureau as such, they believe he's the right person to execute the duties of the DPP. Meanwhile, Shankagala has promised Malawians that he will bring change and enhance the working relationship with Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB. Moving on, the Lilongwe City Mayor, His Worship Richard Banda, has warned Malawians to follow the right protocol when constructing buildings within the buffer zone. Speaking with Luntha Television, Banda said the City Council would demolish all buildings that were constructed inappropriately. We have more details in this report found by Priska Mashushu.
According to Banda, People should follow the right procedures before constructing buildings and wait for the council's approval. He further said that once the budget is done, the council will take action by destroying all buildings in the located places. He added that the legal law will also be used in order to deal with people who offend the council's order by constructing buildings inappropriately.
It has been well identified that those who build their buildings, the places which is not protected enough for them, they will be demolished. And you can see some of them they are building their houses within the buffer zone, and those buildings will be demolished, the shops. And they have been already given the notices for that. So as a city council, it's just a matter we need to implement those exercises. Otherwise, they are not supposed to build wherever they are not supposed to build without approval from the city council.
Furthermore, he said that people were already warned to destroy all buildings that were constructed near roads in all the reserved places before the council takes action. A lot of people construct buildings, including shops, in Longwe City without consent from the city council, which put people's lives at risk. For Luntha TV, this is Priska Mashushu.
Moving on to sports news, the Football Association of Malawi FAM and Airtel Malawi will on Wednesday, 1st of February 2023, celebrate the outstanding players and media for their role in the success of the Airtel Top 8 Season 4. Confirming that the event will be held at Sunbird Mount Soch Hotel in Luntha, FAM Competitions and Communication Director Gomezani Zagazaga said 3 players are competing for the best player of the tournament. King Major Kamwendo has more of the details.
According to Zagazaga, the awards would be offered to the player of the tournament, top goal scorer in the players category, and to the media in 5 different categories. And on her part, Airtel PLC Marketing Director Togo Kankondo Sande said all is set to decorate and honor the Madoros of Airtel Top 8 Season 4. These awards honored the Madolos on the field and on the sports journalists who brought the games live to the people's home through their coverage in newspapers, on radio, online and television. Also, the official crowned Mighty Mukuru Wanderers as the second champions from the southern region. And on his part, Wanderers captain Stanley Sanudi said they were looking forward to the event. 3 players, Chikwepo Msoya, Ranjes Nkoma and Clement Nyondo, finished as joint top goal scorer with 2 goals each. Msoya is also in contention for the Player of the Tournament award after being nominated alongside teammate Milako Gabeya and Nyasa Big Blast defender Gomezan Chirwa. For Luntha News, this is King Major Kamwendo.
Now in international news, more than 24 Madagascans have died and tens of thousands have been left homeless since a severe tropical cyclone made landfall last week and swallowed for days off the island's western coast, official records show. Cyclone Cheneso smashed into northeastern Madagascar 10 days ago, bringing strong winds and triggering downpours that have caused extensive flooding. At least 83,181 people have been affected, with nearly 38,000 displaced from their homes. More than 23,600 houses were flooded and at least 500 others completely destroyed. And that also brings us to the end of what we had for you in this edition of our news bulletin. But before we leave, let's take a look at the headlines. Congolese hopes Pope Francis' visit shines light on brutal conflict in the country's east. Water Aid scales up access to clean water in primary schools amid rampant rise in cholera cases. Public Appointments Committee Park of Parliament confirms Masao Goshankagala as the new Director of Public Prosecutions. And in international news, Cyclone Cheneso kills dozens and displaces tens of thousands in Madagascar. You've been with me, Tandy and Zamara. Thank you so much for keeping me company, and do continue following the rest of our programs right here on Luntha TV. And do remember that cholera is real, so please do continue following the preventive measures that have been set in as far as cholera prevention is concerned. Goodbye for now, and just stay safe.